no more heroes. It's hero begin to catch on nobody but yourself. Nothing less to do.
Travis, it's kill or be killed.
So I think a lot of people who play fighting games have this bad habit. Not everybody, of course, but a lot more than people should. There's a lot of people who end up disrespecting their opponents and the people they play against on a day-to-day basis. And you'll see it. You'll see popular streamers do it. You'll see people who play casually do it. It happens very often, where somebody's like, oh, if you're a king player, all he did was grab. If he didn't chain throw, I would have won. If you're playing Dragunov, oh, he's just down 2-1 all day. He's just doing these crazy pokes. He only has to get 4 hits on me like Paul, and he gets hella damage. This person's just brain dead. He's playing this brain dead character. I'm not dealing with this. And I talked about this in the last video I posted on controlling your ego. So if you guys haven't seen that, I could drop a link to that as well. And if this ends up making it into a later video, I'll probably just post it somewhere on the screen. Like I said before, when you end up disrespecting your opponent so much, a lot of people don't realize like they're disrespecting and downplaying themselves as well. When somebody said, oh, he only did one thing and he beat me with it, a lot of people don't realize all it took was one thing to beat you. If someone's spamming the same move, typically you're spamming the same mistake, or you just don't know how to beat it, which means you have something that you need to work on. But it's very hard for a lot of people to end up looking on the inside and being like, well, I could have done something better there. But I think there are benefits to just respecting the people you fight against. A lot of people don't realize there are other human beings on the other side of the screen that they're fighting. And I think a big part of what got me to realize that was playing against friends versus playing against people I didn't know. When I'm playing against people I know, it's very easy to compliment them and being like, oh, nice, or that was really great, or that was a wonderful read you made. But I do notice that when I'm playing like certain random people online, like the average ranked experience or casual experience, sometimes it gets a little harder to compliment somebody else, especially when you don't know them or have any type of relationship with that person. And I've been trying to think like for the life of me why that could be. I'm not entirely sure myself. And I don't want anybody to think that just because like I'm talking about these situations and these struggles and I'm like, oh, you know, I never have a hard time complimenting anybody, or no matter what match I'm in, I always tell people good job or that was nice. Like, no, sometimes I struggle with it too. And it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of self-reflection to be able to be like, oh, well, you were the better man here or better woman, or you were the better player here. You know, you just outplayed me. You had it. You got it. You deserve that one. You know, you come against somebody who's really good, who really knows what they're doing, who's just pulling out all the stops, and you're like, man, okay, all right, you got it. You got it. There's nothing I could have done there. But other people would take that and be like, you need to go outside. You live on this game. You need to take a shower. When's the last time you went and hugged your mom? Like, just something random like that, because they have to make any excuse for why they lost or have to say something negative about the person. Them devil gin spammers drive my nerves up a wall. See, that's what I mean right there, right? Where it becomes very easy to blame like the character and the other person. And don't get me wrong, sometimes a person could be spamming. A lot of the times a person is just pressing random buttons. But also it's like, okay, we've identified the fact that they are a spammer. We've identified the fact that they might just be mashing throws. We have identified the fact that they might be spamming the armor moves. All right, we get that. What are we gonna do about it now? You know, it's mainly meant for the people who just sit there, identify the problem, and continuously complain instead of finding a solution, or the people who are like, okay, well, this sucks, but what can I do about it? There's a lot of people who will identify a problem like that, complain, not learn the matchup, not lab anything, not even go back and look at the replay to see what they could have been doing better or what mistakes they were making. And it's just like, you know, I'm gonna keep playing the game for 10 more hours and I'm gonna keep complaining like this. I ain't like that. Anytime I get frustrated myself, I know I could have handled things differently. And that's the biggest thing, right? A little bit of self-reflection goes a long way. When you don't stop to think about why you're doing certain things, how they affect you, what could possibly be triggering the behavior, you're more liable to repeat that same process again. How many of you guys have seen somebody rage quit a game just to hop on 5 minutes later? Whether it's Overwatch, you're like, oh my god, my tank, he sucks, he's bad, I'm a support character, why are you leaving your healer? Or the reverse, I'm a tank, I'm going in, why is my support not following me? Where's my team? I'm going in dying alone, they're blaming me. And then it's like, all right, I hate this game, I'm gonna rage quit, I'm hopping off, I'm never playing again. I uninstalled the game. 2 days later, they reinstalled the game, they're playing tank or support again. The same roles they just had a problem with, are doing nothing differently, aren't even identifying what's going on with their team, and they're playing again like nothing ever happened. When you identify the fact that fighting games are sweaty, it's like, what's the difference when you're playing your friends versus somebody you don't know? You know, of course there's a big difference there. I'm not saying, you know, like, I'm not gonna be, what's the word for it, obtuse about it. Obviously you're playing with your friends, There's no pressure typically. You guys are just having a good time, but you know, you guys aren't worrying about your combos. It's a lot more relaxed, it's a lot more chill. But is it the expectation that all of a sudden you have to win when you're fighting somebody random, that they might be thinking something of you or thinking less of you, or you might think less of yourself for losing a game against somebody you don't know versus somebody you do? Little things like that. Sometimes people feel like they have something to prove to a complete stranger online, that they have to assert that they're the better player. Otherwise, this person's like, oh, they're gonna think I'm a dumb if I don't block this string. Or they were able to hit me with this low 6 times in a row. I'm so bad, I'm so trash at the game. But if you're with your friends, you're probably not even thinking about stuff like that. A lot of it comes down to how you feel about yourself internally and the expectations you put on the games that you think you're supposed to have. It gets worse the better you get for some people, because once you get past a certain skill level and you run against somebody who's mashing or doing random moves, you're like, okay, I beat people way better than this person. I should not lose to this person. But I say all this to say, regardless of how you're performing personally, if someone's better than you, or if someone's pulling out moves you hadn't seen before, if someone's beating you consistently, 9 times out of 10, they might just be better than you, or they might be doing something you have no knowledge of yet, which also means they could be better than you because that means they have the knowledge and you don't. So when you're playing these games, try not to immediately get upset at your opponent, angry at your opponent. If you're just playing online games and online matches, which is kind of crazy too, because when I say talk to your opponent, respect to your opponent, a lot of people aren't talking directly to your opponent, and 9 times out of 10 people aren't. But some people kind of realize that they still do in their heads talk to their opponent as if they can hear them. Like if they catch you mashing rage art and they whiff the rage art and you're like, oh, you mashed rage art, you suck. It's very easy to say that. But it's like, oh, wait, I had this person panicking so much. I put so much pressure on this person that they felt like they needed to rage art. You know, good attempt, feel bad for them, would have won if it hit. But hey, I was a better player here. You know, I took it. But yeah, you know, I think that pretty much sums up everything perfectly. Somebody does something really well, give them a compliment, move on, take your L, take your W, because I'm not even saying you have to lose and compliment your opponent. You could be winning and compliment your opponent. Oh, they went for the punish here, they slightly whiffed it, I punished them for it. You know, he had the right idea, my execution was slightly faster, he was slightly off. These things happen. Part of how sweaty and hard fighting games are. Or really just most games in general. And like I said, it's something I struggle with too. I'm not always the best at it either. I don't want you guys to think I'm taking like a holier than thou approach, where I'm saying if you're struggling with it, it makes you any less of a player or a person. Like, no, absolutely not. What I'm saying is we all have things we struggle with. We all make mistakes. We all have stuff we have to work on. But if you're aware enough to identify the problem, it means you're aware enough to work on it, try to do something different. And there's no harm if you're not able to get it the first time. I don't expect anyone to be perfect. It takes effort. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of work.